Masters leader Ed Snead, putting for birdie but in trouble. And so he is frustrated at 9 a few minutes ago. He's at 10 under, started the day at 12 under. There are other reasons for Snead to worry out here at Augusta on the final day, not only the birdie putt that just missed. Then he left the 9th green, and now we pick up Ed Snead live. This will be his third shot on the 485-yard par 4. And he has left himself a testy putt to keep par and stay at 10 under. And on his heels, the name Jack Nicklaus. Nicklaus started the day at 4 under. He's at 6 under as he goes for an eagle at 13. So Jack Nicklaus went to 7 under. Hi, everybody. This is Vin Scully. Welcome to the Augusta National Golf Club and the final round of the 1979 Masters. The blossoming of spring, the color of Easter, and the arrival of the Masters coinciding in all their beauty, adding to the warm Georgia sun and a large eager gallery. And the result is the elegance, the beauty, and the awesomeness of America's shrine of golf. Bobby Jones, in his book, described the thinking this way. We hope to make bogeys easy if frankly sought, pars readily obtainable by standard good play, and birdies, except on par 5 holes, dearly bought. It's indeed the fruition of the dreams and aspirations of Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts. Augusta National never looked lovelier. Ed Snead began the day at 12 under, but he started off troubled with a bogey at 4, bogeyed again at 6 to go to 10 under. Tom Watson, meanwhile, started the day at 7 and came out with 2 birdies at 2 and 3 to go to 9, gave one of them back. So he is through 10 at 8 under, 2 back of Snead. And suddenly, and it seems like almost always, the name Jack Nicklaus is being whispered and shouted throughout the Georgia pines. Nicklaus, just missing an eagle moments ago at 13, picked up his birdie to get to 7 under. The same Jack Nicklaus, who has not finished worse than 4th here in the Masters since 1971. So needless to say, he's a factor again. Tom Kite, Fuzzy Zeller, Craig Stadler are tied at 6 under, Bruce Litsky at 4 under through 11 holes. Then Hubert Green, Raymond Floyd, Leonard Thompson, and Miller Barber at 3 under, with Gene Littler, Severiano Ballesteros, and Jack Newton at 2 under par. But the big story now is Ed Snead trying to hold on. Ed at 10. This is a classic hole. In 1940, when Lloyd Mangrum shot a 64, he 3-putted here. Fuzzy Zeller passing through, and Craig Stadler knocks it in. In 1954, Hogan Snead playoff, Sam Snead hold a 65-foot chip to go 1 stroke ahead. What complicates matters here, the shadows from the tall pines. It makes the green very slick and very treacherous. Ed Snead needs this for par to stay at 10 under, 2 ahead of Tom Watson, 3 ahead of Jack Nicklaus. Might roll slightly to his left. And a disastrous hole for Ed Snead. That means he has dropped to 9, just 1 stroke ahead of Tom Watson, 2 shots ahead of Jack Nicklaus. And so as we go to the final round of the 1979 Masters, roll the drums and a blare of bugles, we have a masterpiece. And to tell you the story, here are the men on their towers.
I'm Pat Summerall. I'll be covering the action at 11, a 445-yard par 4 with water on the left-hand front of the green. I'll also be covering the action at 12, which is 155 yards long, a par 3. A raised creek cuts across the front. The flagstick today on the extreme right-hand side. This is a wonderful par 3.
I'm Ken Venturi, and I'll be at the 13th hole, a par 5, 485 yards. A dog leg to the left with a creek passing in front of the green and down the left-hand side. The beauty and the challenge of this hole truly makes it one of the greatest par 5s in the world.
I'm Jim Thacker at the 420-yard par 4 14th, whose principal challenge is this uniquely designed green. There's a tremendous swale here in front. And to have a fair chance at par, you must get your approach up on top.
I'm Ben Wright. I'll be reporting the play from the 15th hole, a great par 5 of 520 yards, where, after a drive to the top of the hill, an awesome second shot presents itself to the players, with water both in front of the green and behind.
Our much-lamented colleague, Henry Longhurst, called this the greatest par 3 in the world. I'm Jack Whitaker, and I'll be at the 16th, 190 yards across water, and today they have placed the flagstick in the left rear portion of the green as close to the water as it's been all week.
This is Frank Lieber, and I'll be reporting the action today from the 400-yard par 4 17th. Carved out of a chute of pine trees, it's a drive over that tree to a green that could present some problems today. With the flagstick cut in the back, there's a very steep embankment, and with the wind blowing, it could create difficulties.
And I'm Vin Scully. I'll be at the 18th, 420-yard par 4, tree line on the right, and a brace of bunkers out there on the left with the landing area in between. A most dramatic uphill walk to a two-tiered green and the traditional Sunday pin placement here at Augusta. We'll also be covering 10, 485-yard par 4, all downhill from tee to green. And once again, the golfer will find the pin placement on the left-hand side of the green. Right now, let's check the leaderboard for the final round of the 1979 Masters. And the lead paragraph would have to be the trials and tribulations of one Ed Snead. Finished yesterday at 12 under with a 5-stroke lead. He has given 3 shots back to the course to beat a 9. And Tom Watson is 1 back. Jack Nicklaus is back by 2. Let's go out to 11.
And Tom Watson's putt for par. He just missed birdie just seconds ago and does get par. Watson remains 1 off the lead after Snead bogeyed the 10th hole. Fuzzy Zeller with him. Zeller certainly not out of the picture at all. It's 6 under par. Even par for the day's round. The swirling winds have taken their toll. And this corner, and just pick out who you think might win. Ed Snead, Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, Tom Kite, Fuzzy Zeller. Fuzzy just about to putt for par. And so the next to the last group of the day come over to the 12th tee, and by no means has 12 been any vacation today. The leaderboard. And this year's Masters, Ed Snead ahead of Watson by just 1, Nicklaus by just 2.
Just a few moments ago, second shot of Jack Nicklaus. He hooked his drive behind the 2 pine trees that punish such a shot, and had no chance whatsoever of going for the green as we go to the 11th.
And you look back at Ed Snead, the leader, who began today's play at -12, has dropped back to -9, and he must be having thoughts about not necessarily a conservative style of play, but a cautious one certainly, and he is still looking. And in a championship of this magnitude, Ken Venturi, what must be going through his mind?
Pat, I've been there, and I know he's just trying to gather himself. He has lost 3 shots to par, thinking that 72 was going to win the tournament. I don't know whether he's been more conservative, but now he's looking at a hole where par is a must, and all you have to do now is hold yourself together and believe in yourself.
And all of a sudden, Ken, does your philosophy change, and do you all of a sudden become more positive and more aggressive about things?
Well, when you get going like this, Pat, your tempo increases. You make decisions too fast. You're trying to get things over with, and that's the time to regroup and start thinking of what made you a good player, how you got there, and resort to that, Pat.
All right, Ken, here's Ed Snead then, his second shot at 11. Ooh, that's going to have to hurry. Safely over the water, down on the front portion of this green. And in the meantime, back on the tee at 12, the closest to Ed Snead is Tom Watson. He has a 7-iron. And almost everybody so far, with the winds as they are here in this corner, has been long.
Get down. Come on, back.
Hit into the back bank, but bounced back down on the edge of the putting surface. He could have stuck up in at Pine Straw. That's a good break. Let's go to 15.
Over here, Jack Nicklaus about to play his third shot, and this hole today, with the wind in the players' faces, has become anything but a birdie hole. Only one player of the 29 who have been through here so far, Tom Weiskopf, has gone for the green and made it over the water. There are only 3 birdies. Weiskopf was one of them. Nicklaus 7 under, just 2 behind. Third shot, 15th. No, that's got to hurry. It's not going to make it. That could go in the water. It will gather pace down the bank. It's starting to hurry. Oh, my goodness. That's for the drink, I fear. Yes, the ripples tell the story. A hole that has been alternatively kind and cruel to Nicklaus through the years has dealt him another crushing blow. A shot of only 80 yards to the flag, but the rules man, Harold Sargent, is summoning Nicklaus, so the ball is obviously playable in the edge of the water. Just a year ago, Crenshaw was in much the same position and played a remarkable shot here, but I think it's going to be a sock and shoe off situation if Nicklaus is going to play this. A wry smile on his face as he acknowledges the ovation. The wind really got hold of that one. It was almost travelling back towards Nicklaus at the finish. It is incredible that of the 29 players who have been through here before this twosome, that no fewer than 14 have missed the green with their third shots from less than 100 yards, which gives you some idea how difficult that third shot is off a downhill lie to a plateau green with the wind in your face. Well, we've seen all this before. Center stage. Mr. Nicklaus dons his motley gear. But meanwhile, we'll go to the 12th.
As Nicklaus changes, you look at Watson, his second shot at 12. Oof. We almost had 2 players at 9 under. Watson's shot was just a little bit firm. We go back to 15.
Well, Nicklaus has not bothered to take the shoe off. He obviously wants all the help he can get to stand firmly there as he goes for his 4th shot. Incredible, and now an outside chance of a par to keep him just 2 strokes behind the leader, Ed Snead. And we'll go to the 11th.
Ben, speaking of Ed Snead, that is the leader. He's got to be 45 feet. An uphill, challenging putt. He has been watching Watson on the 12th. This will go right to left. Take too long. There's still some road work to do for Ed Snead to make par. He's about 5 feet. And not by any means an easy putt. Craig Stadler with him, and Stadler has had just disaster befall him. He started at -70, double bogeyed with 10th hole to go back to 4. We go over to 12. And watch Fuzzy Zeller putting for bogey from that distance. The winds are so tricky down here. Zeller drops back to -5. 4 behind the leader, Ed Snead, but that may not last. Watson. Stadler made a bogey, by the way, at 11 to drop back to 3 under. Here is Watson for par at 12. And still just 1 behind Snead. And over at 11, the leader in the meantime has that 5-foot putt left to make par. Remember, he just bogeyed the 10th hole. If he misses, we have a tie. And don't forget what's happening to Nicklaus at 15. That'll go right to left. Ooh, nicely done for Ed Snead. He is still the leader. If there should happen to be a playoff, we will go back to 10. Right now, let's go to 15.
And meanwhile, over here, Jack Nicklaus has emptied the water from his right shoe and is preparing to putt for par to remain at 7 under. This putt will go from right to left. What a great putt. What a marvelous putt. Jack Nicklaus, who remains just as he needs to be, absolutely in contact with the leader, Ed Snead, just 2 behind. He started the round at 4 under. He's picked up 3 on par. And of course, Snead started at 12 under, so Nicklaus was 8 shots behind at that stage and is now just 2 away from Snead. And we'll go forthwith to the 12th tee.
It has been a very difficult decision for almost every player to decide what club to use. And of course, he heard the roar at 15. I'm sure he doesn't know yet. They haven't put it up on the big scoreboard down here in the corner. That Nicklaus did something. I'm sure he knows where he is. Almost every player so far has been using 7-iron. And with almost equal regularity, they've been long. The messages from the roars, Ken Venturi, as you've experienced so many times, must tell you pretty much what's going on.
They don't always tell you the truth, Pat. Sometimes they can cost you because as you don't know that Nicklaus made 5. It may be a man salvaged a bogey, but this enthusiastic crowd give the applause to great shots.
While we're talking, what about this wind the way it is today here at 12? What does it do?
Well, I never played the hole without watching both the 12th green flag and the 11th green flag. The wind is swirling, forces the ball up and down. It may be the most difficult 155 yards in golf.
Ed Snead has a 6-iron. Back bunker. And trouble from there. Over to 16.
How about the wind here, Kenny?
Well, not as severe as 12, Jack, and the pin, I think, is in a very generous spot for a man who can play the ball from right to left.
It certainly is. They've been getting closer to this pin today, the flagstick, than they have all the other 3 positions earlier in the week. But Jack has a bit of indecision. I was going to say that's probably the loudest par we've ever heard down here, and one he just made at 15.
Well, he had to play it no matter what the cost was. He had to make 5 some way, and what a brilliant 5 it was.
Looking good.
15 feet.
Jack Nicklaus has struck a beautiful iron here, 15 feet away from birdie. That would put him at 8 under and 1 stroke behind. Playing with Gene Littler. At first, let's go back to the 13th.
Tommy Kite putting for Eagle 3. What a brilliant little second shot he played, and what a courageous little player he is. Kite at 6 under. Don't sell this man out. That could put him. Oh my gosh, that was closer than Nicklaus's putt try for Eagle. That would have put him 8 under, and he goes to 7 under, and no one has mentioned Tommy Kite before. So, what a courageous try he had for Eagle, and only a couple inches away, taps it in, birdie 4. So Tommy Kite goes to 7 under par, but Ed Snead is 9 under, only 1 shot ahead of Tommy Watson.
Ed Snead just made a marvelous par at the 12th. Remember, he hit his shot long. He was back in that bunker, and here it is moments ago, and what a shot he hit. Without much deliberation, and with that water on the other side, look at that. Less than a foot away. In fact, only about 3-4 inches. And there's the par. And Snead remains -9. And still the leader. Over to 13.
Now on the tee, Tommy Watson, 8 under par. Tee shot that requires a little right to left to get as close to the creek as possible to reach the green.
Get out.
And from saying get down, I'd have to believe it going right on him, and hits into the Gary, comes down into the little bit into the rough, but I don't believe he has a chance to reach the green in 2 from there. Fuzzy Zeller, 5 under at the present time.
Beauty there.
And he likes that. You can hear that. And that it is, around the corner and leaving himself somewhere in the vicinity of 200 yards to the green. What a beautiful sight that is, walking down there. So the key hole's coming up. What a key par that Ed Snead made at 12. And we'll go back to 12 with that.
Craig Stadler, who has played so well throughout this championship but has seen so much difficulty today, putting there for his par. And the way things are going for him at the moment, the finish will not be pleasant. He'll have that putt left for bogey 4 to slip back to -3. To -2 for Stadler, I beg your pardon. Let's go over to 16.
Where you see Jack Nicklaus looking at his putt, about 15 feet. It'll swing right to left. And should he make this, he would tie Tom Watson for second place. And while we wait, let's go to 18.
The agonies of Tom Weiskopf, who has finished runner-up here 4 times on successive years in 1974 and 75. So he comes in at 8 over par and 8 over for the round. Let's go back to 16.
Incredible how this man rises to the big occasions.
Yes, sir.
With much the same motion, if not the same leap as in 1975 when he sunk a 40-footer here, Jack Nicklaus has tied Tom Watson for second place as one shot behind Ed Snead. Beautifully stroked putt. Four under on the day, 8 under on the tournament. Gene Littler now finishing out for par, which he does. And the saying that the Masters begins Sunday afternoon was never more true than in this 1979 edition. Ed Snead now being pursued by the king and the heir apparent. Let's go to 17.
Jack Nicklaus parading through the trees to the 17th tee. And getting a warm round of applause while Ed Snead certainly can hear what's going on, even if he doesn't know exactly what it means at this point. He knows somebody's coming on strong, and a good guess, obviously, would be Nicklaus in quest of his 6th green jacket. Isao Aoki on the 17th green, finishing with a bogey. The delegate from Japan is at 5 over par for the tournament, playing with Lee Trevino to 13.
Tommy Watson definitely laying up with his second shot. Ideal position is to get as much left as you possibly can, but he leaves it way right on top of the hill, downhill lie. Let's go back to 17.
Nicklaus preparing to hit his tee shot. 400-yard par 4. That tree in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, really no problem for most of the pros. They can clear that with ease. He's birdied this hole once in 3 days. Look at that gallery lining both sides, as far as you can see. Gallery seems to like it, but Jack won't. He pushed it. He'll be behind a series of mounds down the right side. May have a little difficulty, but the pin placement not the toughest we've seen here at 17. Gene Littler started the day 2 under. He's still there. Littler, who has parred this hole first 3 days of the tournament. A little short, but doesn't appear to be in too bad shape. Down the left side of the fairway. Let's go to 14.
Just moments ago, Tom Kite trying to join the party here. 1 stroke behind second. Wind right is back. A very difficult shot today. Trying to avoid that deep swale, and Kite's at a very fine shot. He's on the green. He'll have a putt at a birdie where he has had birdies the last 2 days. And if he gets one today, then put Tom Kite's name on that list with Nicklaus and Watson.
This is Newton putting for 4. Both were laid up on their second shot. And that has to travel some more and come down and leave it on the high side. So Newton will have that short putt to make 5, but remain at 2 under, 3 over for today's round. So Eddie Snead with 9 under after starting the day at 12 under. Nicklaus with that fine birdie at 16 to go 8 under. Watson still has 13 to play, 8 under. And Tommy Kite very much in the race. And there's a look at Eddie Snead. Bruce Litsky for par. He makes his par, stays at 4 under. Let's go to 17.
Where Jack Nicklaus is striding up the fairway. Nicklaus, 8 shots behind at the start of the day, has come within 1 stroke now, making up all 8 on the leader, Ed Snead. He's in a little bit of trouble here, not severe trouble, but some trouble as his ball is on the far right-hand side. To 13.
Fuzzy Zeller going for the green, about 200 yards. Carries his hands low, bring it in probably right to left. And that he does. Right to left it comes, turning more than he likes, but he'll be right in the center of the green. Excellent shot. 30, 35 feet to the left of the hole, hole high. And now back on the tee, the leader, Eddie Snead. You would almost have to say that somewhere between here and 16T, he must capture 1 or 2 birdies.
Hook.
He's going to leave it out. He says hook. And he leaves it up against the hill, and he is in a spot where it's debatable whether he will go for it or not. He's somewhere in the vicinity of 230, 35 yards. And now Craig Statler. Having not one of his better days. No noise. And a fine drive around the corner. Let's go to 14 quickly.
Tom Kite for birdie. It would tie him for second place. Well, the only man in this field that's birdied this hole 2 days in a row will not make it 3. Should have his par to remain at 7 under, 2 back of the lead. Back to 13.
Tommy Watson with his pitch shot. Downhill, very little green to work with. Nipped it very well, but it will be just slightly past the hole. Checks up very well. 15, 18 feet behind the hole, and still an excellent chance at making birdie. So this hole, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful, most exacting, most challenging par 5s in the world. And a fine hand for Tommy Watson. Let's go to 17 now.
Jack Nicklaus ready to hit his second shot. On the right of your screen, you can see where Jack is. He's actually in the area between 15 and 17. You'll have to come up over that bunker on the right side in front of the green, and the flagstick is in the rear of the green, so he's got room. And he's got a 9-iron in his hands. He's behind one of a series of large mounds. Looks good. A little long and down the embankment that we told you about a little bit earlier, and almost beneath our television tower. We mentioned there's a very severe embankment in back of the green at 17. It looked right on line, but he came a little bit hot, and it skidded over the putting surface down the embankment. He's got about 20 yards back to the flagstick. Let's go to 13.
Fuzzy Zeller looking over his putt for eagle. A little better than 30, 35 feet. 2 putts have just been excellent here from almost the same position. Jack Nicklaus and Tom Kite missed it just on the top edge. And now Zeller for eagle. Zeller is 5 under, started the day at 6 under, but eagle put him 7 under, and he could be well back into the fight for first place. It's amazing how each year and each tournament here that the back 9 is where it's all won on Sunday afternoon. If Zeller can make this putt with his length, it is conceivable that he can reach 15 and 2 and also drive it awfully long at 17. So don't count Mr. Zeller out just yet. Has it got enough? Has it got enough? It was right on the track and loses its speed, and a little short and a little on the low side. So he'll be less than a foot for his birdie, but let's go to 17.
Nicklaus walking down the embankment and back of the 17th green and looking over his predicament. He's got a good 20, 25 yards. He'll have to come up the hill, and then the pin is cut just 18 feet in front of the back edge. So he'll have to stop it rather quickly once he gets it on the putting surface. Jack birdied this hole on Friday, parred it on Thursday and Saturday. 4 under par today, 8 under for the tournament, 1 shot off the lead to 13.
Watson for birdie, and I think will dictate whether Ed Snead goes for the green or not, whether Watson makes his putt to go 9 under or not. And he'll leave it to the right and past, and still slipping some. Goes by about 2 feet, a little bit more. So Watson will have this for par 5 to remain 8 under, and I believe, looking at where Eddie Snead is, I have a feeling he will probably play short and play for the pitch. So Tommy Watson for par to stay 8 under par through 13 holes with 5 holes to play. And nicely in. So Watson makes par 5 at 13, and let's go to 17.
Jack Nicklaus. He's actually very close to the 18th tee. This will be his 3rd shot to the par 4. 1 shot off the lead, currently held by Ed Snead. He's trying to hang in there and save par here. Not bad. From that position, you'd have to say not bad, but he's still got a testy 10 to 12 feet coming back for his 4. So he won't be picking up any strokes here on 17 to 13.
Eddie Snead has selected an iron and has changed. I think now he's determining how far back he wants to lay the ball up to be able to get a little more spin on the ball. He does not want to get it too close to the creek. He is laying up. He's not going for it. And he has put it from left side and hold down, hold down. Well, you couldn't come down and place that any better than what he did, but only maybe 6 feet from the creek. And that's a little nerve-wracking right there, I would have to say. Craig Statler with an iron, but he is going for the green. There is no doubt. He is under 200 yards. And he has hit it in from left to right, and it looks like a brilliant shot. And that it is, the best of the day. Just about 6.5 feet away. And I know he's happy with that, with the way the thing has been going for him all day. Let's go to 17.
Or Jack Nicklaus studying a putt about 12 feet, I'd say. This is for his 4. This would keep him 8 under par for the tournament. Just 1 shot off the lead with 1 hole left to play in the 1979 Masters. Wind has really been kicking up here on 17 this afternoon, but it's been at the players' back for the most part. So it's helped them. The hole really hasn't played that tough today. Although for the tournament, it's played perhaps tougher than it has in years, playing well over par for the first 3 days. Nope. That marvelous birdie a moment ago at 16 negated by what will be a bogey at 17, which would drop Nicklaus back to 7 under for the tournament and 2 shots off the lead. Playing with Gene Littler, who has a short putt left for his par. So Jack's got to be awful disappointed. Really been on a roller coaster ride here for the last 3 holes. That scrambling par on 15, the great birdie on 16, and now a disappointing bogey on 17. Littler 2 under for the day and 2 under for the tournament. Had a fine Masters. And he stays there, and we go to 18.
Lee Trevino concluding his 8th Masters with this birdie effort. The Lee will finish with a par and conclude the tournament at 1 under. Back to 17.
18 inches for bogey. Nicklaus drops a shot here. Now 2 off the lead with 1 hole left to play. Shaking his head after a look back at 17. Let's go to 13.
Well, if you think that Eddie Snead was close to the hazard, his heels are standing on the line that show where the hazard is. Eddie Snead, a lot of green to work with. Just a perfect layup. Well, I will tell you that it's just short of absolutely perfect. 4.5 feet, and what a key putt this will be. I thought that, I know when he looks back on this hole, no matter what happens, he'll think about how close that ball came to the hazard. So Eddie Snead now just about 5 feet for birdie, and Craig Statler about 6.5 feet for eagle after a brilliant shot. Let's go to 15 first.
Tom Kite has the most difficult half wedge of all here from the steepest part of the slope on the right, just the place you don't want. The wind is against and right to left. Third shot. And very nicely executed, but only an outside chance of a birdie. Back to the 13th.
Craig Statler now for eagle. Craig is only 2 under after starting 7 under, so he's 5 over for today's round. And it does help the cause, even though he is still quite a ways back of Eddie Snead. Let's go to 18.
The familiar side of Jack Nicklaus, teeing off at 18, 420-yard par 4, fairway bunkers on the left.
Oh, yeah.
And you can hear that, oh, yeah, as he really crunched it. Jack Nicklaus has the only birdie on this 18th hole of all the men who are in contention, and that took a 40-foot putt the other day. Let's go over to 14. Make it 13.
Eddie Snead now. Just about 5 feet, and all you want to say is that this is for birdie, and this could put him 10 under and 2 shots ahead of Tom Watson. Oh, key birdie. What a brilliant played hole by Eddie Snead, and that putt almost got away. He leaves here with birdie to go to 10 under and 2 ahead of Tom Watson. Let's go to 14.
Fuzzy Zeller, who's playing with Tom Watson, and Watson alone in second place at the moment, but these two have just turned and looked down toward 13. And listen to the report of the birdie by Snead. Wind right at the back of Fuzzy Zeller here. Gets the ball up on top and stops it nicely. Fine shot. Executed by Fuzzy Zeller with the wind at his back. Very difficult to hold the ball on the green. That'll be Tom Watson, who's trying to win his second Masters championship and has very unpleasant memories about this hole. A 3-putt here last year perhaps cost him another title. Now from that short rough, he may have trouble keeping the ball on the green. Let's see. Down in the Valley of Sin, watch it. And off the green. So Watson gets it in that Valley of Sin and back down off the green. He's going to have a very difficult shot up the slope for his third shot. So Tom Watson continues his chase, but now he has one more stroke to pick up to catch Ed Snead.
Ed Snead leading by 2 as we look through the leaderboard and down the 18th fairway. Jack Nicklaus and Gene Littler are coming up. Littler has just made a lovely shot, pin high 11 feet from the cup. And Jack Nicklaus, 5-time winner, trying to make up 8 shots and now running out of real estate. He started at 4 under. The leader, Ed Snead, was 12 under. Snead is at 10. Jack, coming off a disastrous bogey at 17, is 7 under. He's had the only birdie here with a 40-foot putt on Friday of those in contention. And he's a little bit long. Now let's see if it rolls back. He's high and right. Let's go to 14.
The man who battled Nicklaus in that memorable British Open at Turnberry, that was his last major win, Tom Watson. 2 behind the leader. This will be for birdie, but a tough uphill try. Oh, and a tough chance he's left to hold his par even here at the 14th. A nightmarish hole. And now moments ago back on the tee. The wind playing tricks here at 14. This is Ed Snead, the leader. 420-yard needing a draw. It's going to the right. Didn't get it. Past the gallery. Ed Snead, the leader. Look at that. Way back in trouble into the tall pines. And Snead is going to have a most difficult time here at the 14th with his second shot that'll be coming up. All right, back to the green live now as Ed Snead ponders his problems. So does Fuzzy Zeller. This will be for birdie, but quickly to 18.
And the applause for Jack Nicklaus and Gene Littler as they come to the 18th green. Back to 14.
Fuzzy Zeller and his first Masters attempt. And his dreams beginning to fade now as that try for birdie left him about a 3-footer for par. He's 6 under and 4 behind the leader, Ed Snead. Now there's Snead way back in the pines, and you get some idea of the shot he's facing. He's about 170 yards amidst the tall pine trees. Most difficult try here. Even under good conditions in the middle of the fairway, it's tough to get the ball on the green. Tom Watson looking over what's a very crucial par putt for him. Tom Kite got his par at 15, remains 7 under. Tie with Nicklaus for third. Struck again by 14. Tom Watson, who just as soon forget all about this hole. A bogey drops him back into a tie with Nicklaus and Kite, so it's a 3-way tie for second place, and all 3 of those are now trailing Ed Snead, whose hopes would seem to be soaring, but at this moment he's in some trouble. Now Fuzzy Zeller. No player's won the Masters in his first try since Gene Sarazen, 1935. Let's go to 16.
Tom Kite, now very much a factor. Be a little short and maybe wet. First one today, and what an inauspicious time for it to happen for Tom Kite. Back to 14.
You're looking back in the general area where Ed Snead is waiting. Fuzzy Zeller, by the way, made his par here to remain at 6 under. Now to 17.
Raymond Floyd coming out of that front bunker. He's had a tough time today because of the wind. 5 over for his round today. Even par for the tournament. Lovely little touch there. 4.5, maybe 5 feet away. That remaining for his par to 18.
Where Jack Nicklaus surveying what he hopes will be a birdie. It's been a remarkable round. He just missed an eagle back at 13. Salvaged a par coming out of the water in 15. Made an electrifying birdie putt at 16 as he did in 75. But then 17 suffered the bogey. So this is for birdie at 18. Jack 7 under. So near and yet so far for Jack Nicklaus. He remains at 7 under, unaware of the fact that he's tied with Tom Kite and Tom Watson. Now let's go to 14.
There's the second shot of Ed Snead, whose lead now has gone back to 3, but a tough shot here. And pulling up just short of the putting surface. He still has to go up that tricky slope at the 14th. Oh, Snead, who was picked by no one before this tournament started, once had a comfortable lead, saw it melt, and now has picked up a little more pad here with a 3-shot lead. Now his playing partner, Craig Stadler, back to 4 under after the marvelous eagle. Had a fine tee shot. Well short of the green, coming down the slope. And Stadler's going to have a tough third shot. But Ed Snead, with a 3-shot lead now, is just in front of the green here at 14 with an uphill chip and perhaps drawing closer to a Masters championship as frustration continues to grip Craig Stadler. Over to 15.
This is the third shot of Bruce Litsky from 90 yards, and may pull back almost off the green. We go to 17.
Raymond Floyd, short putt here for his par, a little more than 4 feet or so. Should keep him at even for the tournament. Man who holds the tournament record along with Jack Nicklaus, 271 for 72 holes. He's been playing very well lately. Fine scrambling par for Raymond Floyd. So he goes to the 18th tee, even for the tournament. And let's go to 18.
Bill Cratchit, second shot, playing with Seve Ballesteros. Cratchit coming to 18 at even par, started the day at 4 under, so the winds have gotten him today. Cratchit short, and he'll have company. Both Ballesteros and Cratchit misjudging the gusts of winds that have been spurting through the pines and really confusing the club selection. Earlier, this was the putting stroke of Isao Aoki as he concluded his Masters along with Lee Trevino. Aoki at 5 over. Let's go back to 17.
Lanny Watkins, right side of the fairway, second shot to the par 4. He's 3 under. So he's had him a pretty good Masters. Just on the front of the putting surface, he'll have a 25-foot putt from there for a birdie. Playing with Leonard Thompson, also 3 under for the tournament. He's lost a couple of shots today. Covering the ball of Lanny Watkins to 14.
Later, Ed Snead has a putter in his hand about 55 feet. First 15 feet it will be fairway. Down the slope, and he has left character builder here about 8 or 10 feet for his par. So Ed Snead, 3-stroke lead, but in trouble now to 15.
That is the birdie putt of Bruce Litsky on its way. He's 3 under par and will remain that way through this, the 15th hole. At best. Back to the 14th.
Craig Stadler looking over what would be a par putt for him. Coming downhill, extremely slick. Now report that Tom Kite, who hit the water at 16, wound up with a double bogey 5 there. That's put him out of the chase at the moment, back to 5 under, 5 behind Snead. Now Stadler for par. Big swing to the left. Doesn't have an easy one left for his bogey. Craig, who played twice here as an amateur. Now let's go to 18.
Seve Ballesteros and his third shot. He started at 3 under, 1 over for the round, 2 under for the tourney. And that will leave him a very difficult putt to salvage par. Ballesteros in his third Masters, back to 14.
Craig Stadler's just made double bogey. And now Ed Snead facing awesome pressure here, bidding for his first major championship. Has a three-stroke lead, but a tough par putt. Remember the crucial putt he made at 11. There's his lead by 3 over 2 of the greatest names in the game today. One of them, Jack Nicklaus, from his own Ohio State. And Ed wearing his Buckeye red today, but the crucial putt he made at 11, this one's very similar to it. Ah, yes, it could be the one that put Ed Snead over. It protects his lead of 3 strokes, now with just 4 holes to go here in the 1979 Masters. A great par for Ed Snead, who was buried deep in the pines off the tee, now to 18.
Seve Ballesteros, difficult downhill putt for par. He's at 2 under. Seve will be frustrated, settle for a bogey at 18, and conclude his Masters at 1 under par. And with that, they'll go back out to 15.
Going for it. He'll have to move it from right to left. Tom Watson, he's doing just that. And that looks absolutely excellent. That's a brilliant shot. What a magnificent stroke by Tom Watson. That was a stroke of the best part of 235 yards into the teeth of this wind, which is gusting, I presume, within about a mile or two an hour of 15. Glorious stroke. And Fuzzy Zeller also hit the green. There have only been 2 gentlemen who have managed to do that so far. And we go to the 16th.
This is Bruce Litsky here at 16 at 3 under. First day leader. Out over the water. Coming back in. And the best part of 40 feet. Below the pin. And back to 15.
And now a very crucial tee shot for the leader, Ed Snead. He won't, of course, know that Watson has a putt for an eagle, which could bring him within 2 strokes of him. But this is very important. It's got to be long and straight. And the wind gusts up a little. Classical, fluid swing. No worries, apparently. And there you see, just in the lee of the biggest mound on the right of this fairway. And so therefore he will be in the area of about 220 yards from the front of the green. Craig Stadler giving it all his body and muscle. Considerable. And that also is a shot of well over 200 yards to even the front of the green into the wind. We now come back to the putting surface, and Tom Watson, after that brilliant wooden club shot to the green yesterday and the day before, Watson had been in the water. And we go to the 18th.
A few moments ago, Raymond Floyd, 1976 champion, his second shot. Raymond at even par and a little dissatisfied. But it's wide but almost pin high until it begins to roll down a little. Raymond is concluding his 15th Masters. Let's go back to 15.
Well, Fuzzy Zeller has an uphill putt. And it's the best part of 80 feet. We'll go to the 17th.
That's the second shot of Tom Kite. Crestfallen Tom Kite trying to recuperate after that disastrous double bogey. And he's within 12, perhaps 13 feet of a birdie in one of those shots back here on the par 4 17th. Kite now at 5 under par for the tournament to 15.
Well, Zeller taking a great deal of care over this putt, which is for an eagle, which could put him 8 under par. But I think he'd be very happy to get up there close for a safe birdie and go away 7 under. Uphill with just a slight swing to the left. Lovely putt by Fuzzy in his first Masters, playing with such distinction. And certain, I think, to, barring a rush of blood, to be the best ever first-time performer in the Masters. Now, Tom Watson. What an important putt. Across this dappled green as the shadows lengthen. Down and across the slope. With right to left break. This then for 9 under par, and to get within one shot of Snead, who's watching anxiously at the top of the hill, peering into the sun. And this could strike fear into his heart. Snead obviously taking the sensible decision and just laying up short of the water. Considerably heartened to hear no roar from the crowd for the eagle that got away. Birdie for Watson puts him within 2 of the lead at 8 under par and in outright possession of second place once again. What a tremendous battle is taking place here with Snead once again in command, 2 ahead of his nearest rival.
Fuzzy Zeller and Tom Watson on the tee here at the 16th. Fuzzy at 7 under. Just about pin high, 25 feet away.
Come back.
Back to 17.
A moment ago from 15 feet, Tom Kite for birdie. It looked good. He thought it was good, but it wasn't. To 16.
Tom Watson now deciding what club to choose. Kenny?
Yes, Jack.
Again, this wind is swirling here as much as it has all day, but...
Well, the way Tom plays now will dictate the way Ed Snead plays.
Right.
He has to go at the hole, don't you think, Jack?
I would think so, yes. Looking up at the trees to get some kind of a idea, perhaps. The tops of these tall pines are swaying. The flag at the moment is out into the golfer's face, but it can drop suddenly. Starts it out right. Brings it back in very nicely. And he's under the hole 20 feet. Almost the identical putt that Jack Nicklaus had just about a quarter of an hour ago. Let's go back to the 15th.
You can probably see the little ripples of the waves on the pond here at the 15th. The wind is very strong in Ed Snead's face, and 18 out of 43 players have missed the green so far today with their third shots, so you get some idea of the problems that confront him. You see the flagstick leaning right over. This is a very difficult shot, Ken Venturi.
Yes, Ben, I would guess that he would be playing from right to left using all the green, and after the ball hits, it should kick and spin to the left if he plays the correct shot, which he's been playing well all week.
And now we have two interested bystanders, Tom Watson and Fuzzy Zeller. They're not prepared to go any further without watching Ed play this really crucial shot. That's a beautiful shot. Just a beautiful shot. Well, his composure, his classical swing, everything is redolent of the top class. A man of consummate wit. Very much enjoying the moment as he forces the crowd to their feet by the excellence of his play and crosses the Saracen Bridge to a massive ovation. Just 6 feet away from a quite marvelous birdie here. And they say that the playing of the par fives at Augusta National is the key to this tournament, and Ed Snead has played them conservatively but brilliantly with his wedge play to them all week. By contrast, Craig Stadler is deep in the wilderness, but we'll go forward to the 16th.
Tom Watson and Fuzzy Zeller. As Tom Watson watched with almost resignation as Ed put that excellent shot in at 15. But he has a putt here he remembers from last year, just about the same spot, and he made that. And the 17th and treacherous 18th ahead. Zeller will go first, some 27 feet. And a very speedy putt he has. All of this being necessitated by these containers of pollen that drop from the pine trees. Very much in contention, Mr. Zeller. A very big swing right to left and a very fast putt. Never had a chance. He's 3 feet past. Now Watson's putt won't break quite as much, but it does swing right to left. Birdie here to put him 9 under. Through sunshine and shadow. Three feet short. with any of the boldness and dash that he usually marks Tom's putting. Par to remain 8 under. 2 shots at the moment behind the leader, Ed Snead. Three feet for Fuzzy to stay at 7 under. Yes. Nothing tentative about that as we go back to the 15th.
After a seemingly eternal wait while Craig Stadler bounced about in the woods to the right, Ed Snead has this birdie putt with a slight swing right to left to virtually slam the door in the face of his rivals, who will await a crashing roar of applause if he makes this birdie putt. Oh, magnificent! 11 under for Ed Snead as he goes to the last 3 holes with a 3-stroke cushion over his nearest rival. From the sublime to the rather unfortunate Craig Stadler, who started 7 under, has this putt to remain 2 under. Just a member of the supporting cast. We go to the 18th.
Tom Kites, who was in the hunt, is now in the woods. He's at 5 under par. Second shot at 18. Punch it low and try to split the bunkers. And the bunker on the left caught him. So Tom Kite, who has played so well here at Augusta National, 4 times he has been subpar for 72 holes, been in the top 10 3 times, and tied for 3rd in 1977. Was right there, tied for 3rd for quite a while, only to take a double bogey at 16 and go to 5 under. And that's how he was coming in. Meanwhile, Ed Snead at 11 under, coming up with that critical birdie putt at 15. Tom Watson at 8 under. Jack Nicklaus has concluded at 7. Let's go earlier to 17.
Bruce Litsky, the first round leader, for birdie. And Litsky gets a fine birdie here in the par 4 17th, and we go to 16.
Well, as Ben Wright said a moment ago, it's how you play the par 5s here at Augusta. Ed has had a bit of trouble with the par 3s. He bogeyed the 2 on the front, 4 and 6. Made a magnificent par at 12 from the back bunker. So maybe the par 3s owe him 1 now. 11 under, a 3-shot lead at the moment. The leader, Ed Snead. He's going to be right. Not quite pin high, but eminently safe. He's 35 to 40 feet away. As we look down here from the shadowed tee to patches of sunlight to the green beyond. The ordeal of Edgar Snead not over yet, with the end in sight. Craig Stadler. Out over the water. Will it come in enough? Coming in nicely, nicely. Yes, a beautiful shot here by young Craig Stadler. That's the way he fired every iron on the Friday second round. 6 feet from birdie. So the stage set here as we look at the leaderboard with Ed Snead, 11 under, walking up here to the 16th green, 3 shots ahead of Tom Watson.
This was Tom Kite a few moments ago. Third shot at 18, and a lovely shot it was. Now live, he gets his par. So Kite, who at one stage was 3 back of Snead on the 13th hole, finishes up his Masters at 5 under. As usual, he's high up on the leaderboard. Let's go out to 16.
And the walk up of the leader, Ed Snead, to the applause of this fine, fine gallery. Let's go up to 17.
Tom Watson has about the same predicament that Jack Nicklaus did earlier. He pushed his tee shot off to the right, and he's behind a series of mounds. He's 130 yards out. Remember, Nicklaus couldn't hold the green with his second shot. Wound up making bogey here. Far right-hand side.
Gotta go, honey.
Excellent shot. Within 12 feet of the cup, so he's got a shot at a birdie here. Watson, who won 2 years ago, tied for second last year, and is in the top 2 again. 71st hole of the 1979 Masters. Fuzzy Zeller's second shot. Also from the right side of the fairway. Also a fine shot. He's about the same distance away. 12 to 14 feet. Right of the flagstick. He has a chance for birdie. We go to 16.
And our leader, 35 to 40 feet. It will swing right to left. 3 shots at the moment, but Watson looking very healthy up there at 17. Looked like it was halfway, didn't it? Look at the speed of that. He has gone by 4 or 5 feet. So another testing putt for par, which he didn't have yesterday. All his par putts yesterday were very short. Let's go ahead to the 18th.
That ball belongs to Jack Newton as he tries to work his way without playing the xylophone through the woods on the right side of the fairway. Jack Newton playing with Bruce Litsky. Let's go back to 16.
Craig Stadler now after that excellent tee shot. This for birdie. Oh. He's 5 over today, despite a marvelous eagle. Now we have Tom Watson up at 17, looking at 12 to 15 feet for birdie. We have Edgar Snead here at 16, looking at 5 feet for par. Should Edward miss and Thomas convert, we have a 2-shot swing. So the par threes have really been sniping at Edgar Snead all day. The third one he has bogeyed. He drops now to 10. Moving off to the 17th tee. We're up ahead at the 17th green. Tom Watson looks at birdie that would pull him to within 1 shot. Let's go up there and Frank Lieber.
No more than 12 feet. This hole, you might recall, very kind to Tom Watson 2 years ago when he made a 25-foot putt on Sunday, which pretty well wrapped up the Masters. This could put him within one shot of the lead for birdie. Golden opportunity. Goes by the boards. He'll have 2 feet coming back. A little more than that, perhaps, for his 4. Fuzzy Zeller playing with him. Just made a birdie putt, which we'll show you in a moment. That moved him into a tie for second place with Watson. Watson has his 4. He stays at 8 under par. A moment ago, Fuzzy Zeller, 14 feet straight into the cup. That's 8 under par now for Fuzzy. 2 under for his round today, and a tie for second place with Tom Watson. Back on the tee. Final twosome of the day as Ed Snead takes a look down the fairway. Wall-to-wall gallery completely surrounding 17 for this final group of the day. Wind has let up just a little bit here. Everyone seems to be satisfied, and well, they should be. That is an absolutely perfect tee shot to 18.
On the tee at 18, a little bit of lightning here. Bruce Litsky on the green, and behind him coming up, Watson and Zeller. And here, beautiful whistles, and that's the result. Did he ever thump it? So with Watson and Zeller at 8 under, coming up the 18th, Snead behind them at 10, and that, without a doubt, the biggest drive. Zeller has been saying he's been driving within himself, hitting perhaps only 80%. If that's 80%, here's Watson. Tom in his 6th Masters. Trees. He cleared one part of it. I hear them say get through. It would not appear to be. You remember Watson bogeyed this hole last year in pursuit of Gary Player. He came down wide the left side, but this time he's deep in the woods. So Ed Snead through 16 is the leader at 10 under par. Watson and Zeller playing 18, 2 shots back. So the story is yet to be completely written, although Ed Snead remains in the headlines at 10 under. Tom Watson and Fuzzy Zeller are coming up 18, although we should clarify that. Zeller is coming up 18. Watson is going through the trees. Nicklaus has concluded at 7. Tom Kite at 5. Litsky just missed a birdie putt, and we haven't seen many birdie efforts here throughout the entire tournament. Leonard Thompson at 3. Hubert Green, Gene Littler, Jack Newton, Craig Stadler at 2. This is Litsky for par. And he'll finish at 4 under par. 2 over for the round. Let's go back out to 17.
Ed Snead, the thinking man's golfer, about 90 yards away. That's the shot that he has, up over that bunker to the back of the green. Little long. That could go down that embankment that caught Nicklaus. It catches up about 6 or 8 feet. He can have some problems there. Let's go to 18.
Tom Watson and Fuzzy Zeller both busted balls. I'm sure they used drivers. Zeller is in a position out in the middle, and Watson evidently able to clear the corner of the woods. So he is not in the trees by any means. Back to 17.
Craig Stadler, longest drive of the day. No more than 70 yards out as he hits his second shot. Wind really gusting now. Look at this. Isn't that pretty? Easily the best second shot of the day. 3 feet from a birdie, which will put Stadler back to 3 under. And salvage something from a disappointing day, which started with it being at 7 under par. This is his 3rd appearance in the Masters, his first as a pro. Back to 18.
Where Fuzzy Zeller walked up and hit his ball as if he was double parked outside the clubhouse. And Tom Watson, meanwhile, having seen where his ball is going to do anything but. He's going to take all the time in the world and come all the way to the green and take a look at it. Zeller hit a ball that reminded us of Tom Weiskopf in '75 when he was in pursuit of Nicklaus. Fuzzy's the biggest drive of the tournament, and then Watson cleared the trees. And Tom, 1977 Masters champ, missed defending his crown last year when he bogeyed 18 in pursuit of Gary Player. Wants to make sure just what do I have there. The green in the traditional Sunday placement. The pin is 12 feet from the left side. It is 21 feet behind that bunker on the left. And Tom wanted to make sure. Zeller's ball, he just walked by it, is on the right side. Fuzzy just walked up and took a shot at it, and he's at 8 under, along with Tom Watson. Ed Sneed is out at 17, leading by 2 at 10 under. And there is Ed doing a little reading of his own on the green. There you can see Tom Watson. He had a monstrous drive to get up over the trees. The only man we've seen in 4 days wind out beyond the pines and the magnolias. We must also point out, too, the wind was at his back. It has been gusting here. Earlier, it became very treacherous. It was blowing across the 18th towards the 10th. So Tom Watson, with a couple of shots left in his 6th Masters. Let's go back to 17.
Here's Sneed about 40 feet away. He's got the putter. Got to put the brakes on that. Not bad. He's got 3 feet coming back. Bloodied and battered, but still in command by 2 shots here at the 71st hole. 2 over par on the front 9, on the back 9. He's had a couple of birdies and a couple of bogeys. Stadler now with a birdie opportunity. This will get him to 3 under par. He's birdied this hole 2 out of 3 days. To 18.
Tom Watson, a moment ago, got a little favoring wind with him and muscled it too much. Way up above the flagstick, and outside of a Jack Nicklaus birdie putt from well up 40 feet on Friday, we have not seen a birdie from there. Let's go to 17.
Whereas Statler picked up his birdie, one of quite a few we've had here on the par 4 today. Playing with one of the easier final day pin positions. Sneed now from 3.5 feet. This is for par to maintain his 2-shot advantage over Tom Watson. To 18.
The same Watson receiving the plaudits of the crowd. Let's go back to 17.
Been a couple of years since this man has won a golf tournament, but he could win the biggest one of all today. Putting across his shadow and makes bogey, and now he will have a 1-shot lead going to the final hole. Nicklaus making bogey here, Sneed making bogey here. Watson missing a big opportunity for a birdie. So it will be a struggle to the end for Ed Sneed as he walks across to the 18th tee along with the thousands in the gallery following him on this windy, sunshiny afternoon at the Augusta National Golf Club. Let's go to 18. Here's Vin Scully.
As Tom Watson is reading the green, the people here have been reading the leaderboard all day. Whether they will post Sneed's bogey at 17, it will not occur until after Watson has putted. I would say he's 35 feet downhill. It was just about an impossible putt, and he came that close to pulling it off. So Watson puts that in And just as the putt missed, the leaderboard reflected the trials of Ed Snead behind him. But Tom Watson has concluded at 8 under, and Snead has to come uphill. Here's Fuzzy's third shot. And Zeller, who has had a marvelous first Masters, is at 8 under and needs this for par. And behind them, the last part of the story, Ed Snead and Craig Stadler. For Ed Snead, his 4th Masters, and he's trying to make it the one he'll always remember. He must par in to maintain that one-stroke advantage over Watson. And the wind blowing a piece of paper across the tee, and that distracts him, and he wisely walks away. Up ahead on the green, Zeller putting for par. He needs this to finish up at 8. Yes! What a marvelous first Masters for Frank Urban Zeller. Fuzzy, and the crowd loves it. They're both alive now, and let's see about Ed Snead. 420-yard par 4. Pretty sure he was using a 3-wood, and he's in perfect position, avoiding both bunkers. You remember he caught a bunker there yesterday, but not today. And so the plot has not only thickened, it has come to a boil. Ed Snead has to get down at par to win the Masters by 1 stroke. This is the 18th, lined by a huge gallery, a fitting climax to the drama that is the Masters, not just of 1979, but is the Masters period. This is the 43rd, and once again it has come down to a man's test, his own courage on the line against the course itself. And this gallery that has followed Ed Snead since he took off at 2 p.m. this afternoon has stayed with him to be joined by all of the other members of the galleries who have concluded their Masters. And Ed Snead, out of Roanoke, Virginia, graduate of Ohio State, married, father of 2 children, is walking towards what could be his first green coat. He has won 3 times on the tour. There's the other side of the coin, Craig Stadler, who was at 7 under, but is now coming in virtually unnoticed at 3 under par. Ken Venturi, it's the Walk of Kings. It's a Camino Real to walk up the 18th. It must be quite a feeling, but more than that, what are the problems now for Ed Snead?
Well, it's the Walk of Kings, Vin, if you have a 2 or 3 shot lead, but to see him 3-putt 16 and then miss that putt at 17, there's only one number he has in his mind right now, and that's the number 4.
Question.
3 is not important.
Question. Where, naturally, you'd love to get it close to the flagstick, but from where he is, if he could walk up and place it, would he be wide right, pin high? He certainly doesn't want to be above the cup.
Well, he played the shot at 16, which I thought anything to the hole high right and on the green was fine. But this one, he wants it on the lower level, on the green, and to the right of the flag. And other than that, you can't ask for anything more.
He has parred the 18th 3 straight days.
I don't believe that he'll ever fool with anything left of the flag to go down the hill. If anything, he'll be right of the flag and slightly just a little bit long.
Center stage. White knuckle time for Ed Snead and the huge gallery. And the breeze begins to come up slightly. He might be short, and he might be bunker. He is right on the edge of the bunker. A fortuitous hop, I believe. He could have rolled in, and that slight gust of wind might have intimidated him. A reminder, friends, since this is very much far from over. It's a high wire act in a windstorm for Ed Snead.
Down there. Well, no, you.
And if Snead cannot get his par, then we would go into playoff time and go to 10. Craig Stadler has been reduced to an acolyte in this drama. Comes in here at 3 under. And a lovely shot for Craig. He played here twice as an amateur. This is his first time as a pro, and it checks up and trickles off the green. So Stadler, who started the day at 7 under, has gone 4 over, and now the stage is virtually left for Ed Snead. What a long and painful walk it can be. What a glorious walk it has been. And we'll find out the results of this walk in a moment. Ed Snead's second shot, balanced precariously just on the lip of the bunker on the right. He must get down in 2. From where Ed Sneed is standing, there's 30 feet of green plus the fringe area, and he'll pace it all off. It will also have a tendency to drop from right to left. Ed will take a look from the other side. There is the leaderboard. And Tom Watson and Fuzzy Zeller are in that frustrating stage now where it is out of their hands. It's in the hands of Ed Sneed. If he gets down in 2, he wins. If he bogeys, we have a 3-way tie. There it is. Kenny? I'm not sure if Ken can see that shot.
I can, Vin, and the two things. One, in protecting from going left, we so many times block it out like he did. But if there's any good break in it, is that the ball didn't go about 2 more inches, or else he would have been in a horrible position.
Ed perhaps asking for a ruling. And Joe Black over to take a look and oversee. Last year, we had some dynamic shots of Gary Player sitting off and watching. Now, this year, it's Tom Watson. And 1 year ago, Player was watching Watson. This year, it's Watson agonizing as he watches Ed Sneed. He must get down in 2 to win. I tell you what, that's a lot tougher putt than Hubert Green had. So he's not finished. Favorable, however, to be below the pin. So Ed Sneed must sink the putt to be the Masters champion. Craig Stadler finishing up at 3 under. 4 over for the round. And a nice effort to get close. Stadler kind of looked at Sneed, didn't say anything, a little tight-lipped as he walks up to his ball. Stadler will putt out and leave the stage alone to Sneed. And as Craig naturally intent upon making this last shot for his 1979 Masters, you can just imagine how excruciating it is for Ed Sneed. Oh, he appears casual, leaning on that putter. So Craig Stadler, walking off, was at one time 9 under and finished up at 3. Well, that picture tells it all. It leaves out one person, Fuzzy Zeller. There's nothing else to say. What was it we said yesterday? Sir Walter Simpson said golf has drawbacks. It is possible by too much of it to destroy the mind. Well, this gallery is shocked. A three-way sudden death playoff will begin at 10. Fuzzy Zeller, Ed Snead, and Tom Watson. And what an incredible accomplishment for Fuzzy Zeller. In his first Masters, he's in a sudden death playoff. But the crowd, it was not a case of cheering for a favorite. They were shocked. And so they go to 10. Let's take another look. It's painful to see it a second time, knowing what's ahead for Ed Snead. And you hope maybe a gust of wind would blow it in. The stark reality of the truth, it stayed on the lip. And so Fuzzy Zeller, Ed Snead, and Tom Watson are heading for the 485-yard par 4, a storied hole here at Augusta. We'll be back. This is the 10th hole at Augusta. It is called Camellia, 485-yard par 4, a drop of 102 feet from tee to green. It was 10 yards longer than 13 until that par 5 hole was extended in 1975. Now, the backdrop of stately pines which shade the green also make the surface very hard. Hogan drove high on the right side here, then would use a 4-wood to the green. It rolls well on the left, but of course you have a tree line and trouble on the left. To go through the history books and look at 10, we mentioned earlier Lloyd Mangrum shot his record 64 here in 1940, but he 3-putted the 10th. And in 1954, in a most dramatic playoff, Ben Hogan and Sam Snead holed out a 65-foot chip to go one stroke ahead. The last playoff that we experienced here would be 1970. Billy Casper won an 18-hole playoff with Gene Littler that year. And that was a garrison finish for quite a group. In the playoff, Casper shot 69 to Littler's 74 as you look at Fuzzy Zeller. Fuzzy saying, I hope you get my good side. He's loose. He's loose. On the last day in 1970, 7 players were within 1 or 2 shots of the lead. So Fuzzy Zeller, in his first Masters, winds up in a sudden death playoff. Incredible. Frank Urban Zeller. And every year, there is some speculation about how many years of experience is necessary to win here at Augusta. And all the experts agree on one thing. A first-year man can't do it. Anybody who can bust the ball like Fuzzy did on 18 and can play as well as he has played in his first Masters has a definite shot at it here at the 485-yard par 4. Tom Watson, who was denied last year by his own bogey, is saved, at least for the moment this year, because of Snead's bogey.
The odd man's going to have his choice, which order he chooses. And then the other two will let them flip one for them, and let one of you call it, and then you get to choose between second and third. I'm not feeling that you've lost already on that flip.
That's all right. No, I understand.
Cord Harden is explaining. Cord, vice chairman here at Augusta, filling in for the absent Bill Lane, whom we miss dearly.
18 holes with me wasn't enough, was it?
Frank Urban Zeller, better known as Fuzzy. And it might be white knuckle time and excitement, but Fuzzy keeps the patter going. Maybe perhaps just to keep himself loose. So Watson and Zeller, who had to do the waiting on Snead, they have gotten an 11th hour reprieve, to say the least. And they're waiting Ed Snead, who has to be shaken. Ken, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Ken Bencherry?
Yes, Vinny.
I was just wondering, would you think...
I want a 10 tick, Frank.
Kenny, do you think a man can recover from that bogey?
Well, it's hard to say. The bogeys at 16, 17, and 18 he'll have to prey on him. I don't know whether he wins or not. He'll think about it for the rest of his life.
Ford Harden again explaining the toss of the coin. There they go.
Tails. All tails.
Go again.
All tails. Well, they're still tied. They have to go again. Tail, tail, and ahead.
Who's the one? Do you prefer to shoot first? Now, one of you two call it.
Ed Snead won the toss, and he preferred to shoot first. Now Tom and Fuzzy.
So Tommy's second.
And Tom Watson will hit second. And Fuzzy keeps muttering, I can't get a break. So evidently they will hit Snead, Watson, and Zeller.
Play well, guys.
Come on, Eddie.
Snead in his fourth Masters, Watson in his sixth Masters, Zeller in his first. Snead bogeyed this 10th hole earlier today. And although he has to be downcast, Ed Snead drills it perfectly down the slope of the left side. So he'll get all the ride. Next up will be Tom Watson.
Turn.
Well, the gallery on the tee describing it as perfect. And he would be apparently right next to Snead. He just trickled by him, as you can see. So they both went down that little chute. Here comes Fuzzy. He started way right and hooking it down. And Fuzzy will outdrive them. Is that something? And they're all in perfect position here at the 10th. Our first sudden death playoff. Snead, Watson, and Zeller all locked up at 8 under par. The 43rd Masters is still very much alive. The 10th hole, an extra bonus for all of us here in this 43rd Masters, and a sudden death playoff amongst three fine young players. Fuzzy Zeller, Ed Snead, and Tom Watson. And the story today, Ed Snead with a 5-stroke advantage going into the final round, and the 5 strokes would not stand up for him. In retrospect, Snead made what appeared to be a critical putt at 11. He also made a birdie at 13. He made a great par putt at 14. And then he made a 6-foot birdie on 15 to go 11 under, and at that particular moment in time, it appeared as if he was going to be the winner. But it was not to be. He struggled at 16, took that bogey at 17, and then the heartbreaking bogey at 18 when his second shot caught the edge of the bunker on the right, and then his putt for par stayed on the bottom part of the cup somehow right on the edge. Meanwhile, Watson had a great fortunate shot way back on 12. He hit into the bank, made a remarkable recovery and saved par.
Ed Snead will be first to play.
Zeller missed a birdie at 16. At 17, Watson missed a birdie. And then it was all washed away on the bogey at 18 by Snead. Okay, Ken, what are we talking about from where they are?
Well, first of all, they are 3 absolutely perfect tee shots. They're not more than a few yards away from either one. Ed Snead will be first, Tom Watson will be second, and Fuzzy Zeller will be third. They're looking at downwind, the hole playing short, pin in the left-hand side of the green, and the ideal shot would be bringing in a little bit from right to left.
Ed Snead, second shot.
Eddie's taking a 7-iron. And I think the advantage is, I would believe, as close as they drove the ball, that to hit first. Made a good swing, and it's right on line. It's going to be a little ride the hole, but beautiful shot. Beautiful shot.
Magnificent shot by a tight-lipped Ed Snead, trying to shake the webs of bogeys at 17 and 18. Now Tom Watson. Kenny, you have his club selection?
Watson has taken the same club. Not much doubt of what club it would be. Eddie made a beautiful swing at that. Watson also with a 7-iron. And that is right on line, a little bit left of the flag.
And sooner or later it comes down to the blade. And now here's Fuzzy Zoeller.
Zoeller looks like he has an 8 or 9 iron. He's bringing in from right to left, and I'll tell you what, there are 3 beautiful golf shots.
They'll be coming in from different directions. Is that incredible? First 3 marvelous drives, and then each player playing it differently. The 1979 Masters sees sudden death. And so the principals have reached this very, very treacherous 10th green. In this first hole of the playoff, and here they are. A man who apparently had it won back around 15. That would be Ed Snead. He's in the Ohio State red. Below the pin, Fuzzy Zoeller, who has astounded most of the experts with an incredible first Masters. And then to the right, the Masters champion in 77, who missed by 1 in 78, Golfer of the Year Tom Watson. Kenny, anything particular about this green, and we'll take it from the different angles.
Well, you have Fuzzy will be first to putt. Fuzzy's probably right at about 15 feet. I have never seen 3 more perfect drives with 3 finer irons at the time. And he'll be first to putt, and I think that it may boil down to first in wins.
Does it make a difference to you? Would you rather come in from any particular side on this flagstick?
Well, Fuzzy's putt will come in a little bit from left to right, and I think of the easier putts, even though that Snead will be second to putt, I think he may have the easier putt. It's almost dead straight. Tommy has kind of a little two-way break, but much shorter than Fuzzy and Ed Snead.
It's as if we're at a diamond cutters convention here. So Zoeller has made his pass at the target.
Ben, I'd almost have to, if I was a betting man, I'd almost have to say that one of these 2 next men are going to make this putt. I know they're going to measure, but I'd have to think that Eddie Snead may be a little bit away looking from here. So close.
Hord Harden is using the flagstick for a measurement. Kenny, what about it? Would you rather be putting now or last?
I think I'd rather go first.
Okay.
I think if it's the idea, I think if you miss it, you still haven't lost. If you make it, you can win. And if he does make it, then Tom Watson has to make it.
He's a flagstick and an envelope away from a birdie. And an airmail stamp.
Eddie Snead's going to be away if they put the flag down the right way now. As I thought he may be
we
just a little bit.
We have to use the envelope again, too.
He's away by 6 inches. This putt he has is downhill, so it's really not a matter of hitting it. He's going to ask hard now if there's a little spot on the green, whether it's a ball mark. If it is, he'll be able to fix it. Putt will come a little bit, it should move a little bit to his left, but it's almost dead straight.
He's trying to get over the effects of a putter that turned cold on him.
Well, if you consider the three prior to this that he missed, all three were shorter than this putt. And if you'd have to say the downfall any place, you'd have to say the three putt at 16 is what set up the whole downfall for him.
Amazing, too, since it was at 15 where he made that marvelous 6-footer to go 11 under and apparently clinch it. But you don't clinch out at 15.
It did move right, Vinny.
Yep. So Zeller has putted and come up empty. Snead has putted and come up empty. And Watson now has the door open to win it here on the 10th. What about his putt?
Well, it's going to move a little bit to the left to begin with, and maybe a little bit to the right on the way back. But I would have to say this: if I have one man putting against me, I wouldn't want to choose this man.
Mm-hmm. So they all come up empty. The 11th hole, and they will have to go there, evidently. 445-yard par 4, but they still have to putt. Watson has finished the 10th. Snead and Zeller must knock in their putts to move to 11.
Now they have to determine which one is away between Eddie Snead and Fuzzy Zeller.
Mm-hmm.
And at this stage, nothing is a gimme, Vinny.
I see Hort Harden down there. They used a toss of the coin on 10. If they all come off 11 even, do they still drive off again the same way as 10?
They go by honors, just as they started off 10.
As if it was a regular round.
If one man makes a bogey, he is eliminated, and then it boils down to 2.
Zeller for par. So he goes to play 11 with Watson.
I would like to make one point, Vin. They're not playing for third. Even if one man's eliminated at a hole, he will still tie for second. There is only one winner, and the other two will tie for second.
All right, the 10th is history, and it's on to the 11th. 445-yard par 4. The hole that saw Snead make a big par putt. And now they'll go there in sudden death.
You're looking at 11, the 445-yard par 4, and you're looking at Ed Snead on the tee. The three members of the playoff, Fuzzy Zeller, Ed Snead, and Tom Watson, all parred the 10th. They have all parred 11 earlier today. Ken Venturi is out, I think, in an area where he can see what kind of drive Ed Snead has hit.
Right down the center, Pat, and it's a perfect drive. I think they're pumped up because they are driving a lot longer than they did this afternoon.
Much longer, you're right. Watson will be next, right?
Yes. I will make one correction, Pat. Ed Snead did hit a 6-iron on the 10th hole, though.
And the other two guys hit what?
7 and 8. Watson taking it high down the right side. Boy, these guys are pumped up. Wait till you see where this goes. And he's down the right center and just about the same length as Eddie Snead is.
And both just about perfect.
Pat, here comes another one, and this may be the longest one of the three. And it is. Look at this.
Wow. Ken, I have not seen anybody even close to being that long in the days that we've been here this year.
Well, they are pumped up. They have one hole to win it, Pat. And, you know, when you look at three fellas like these three, it's hard to be prejudiced. They are three really super guys.
Ken, does your playoff philosophy differ from that in the regular competition?
Well, I think, Pat, what happens is that Eddie Snead, after bogeying 3 holes we talked about, is probably in the toughest frame of mind. The other two feel like they shouldn't be here, so they got really a better chance of going after it. But it's awful hard to put an explicit time when you think that you have really robbed them.
Let's go back and look at Ed Snead's putt that caused this playoff really at 18 as Tom Watson looks on. At this particular time, Snead was ahead by 1. Zeller and Watson already through. But for that, we would not still be here. By the way, as you look back at the playoff records of these three, Zeller has never been in a playoff. Watson is 1-1. Both the playoffs last year. And Snead is 2-0. Here is Fuzzy Zeller's putt at 18. That's what got him into this competition. Right now they stride up to their second shots at 17. Ken Venturi, as we've been talking a minute before, what kind of shots do they have coming in?
Well, Tommy Watson will be first to play. Eddie Snead second, of course. Fuzzy Zeller, who is, I would say, at least 15 to 20 yards ahead of the other two players, will be last to play. Tommy has more green to work with than Eddie, but the wind is blowing a little left to right, so he'll take the fat side of the green, because one place you don't want to miss it here is to the left, as you've seen all day, Pat.
As you look back at what they've done here before, I think I mentioned before that all three players parred the 11th hole when they played it earlier today. Sudden death at the 1979 Masters. Fuzzy Zeller, Tom Watson, and Ed Snead, who looked like he had the whole thing locked up when this day began.
You would think, Pat, that when he made the birdie at 15, you thought, well, that was the end of it right there. And then you kind of saw things kind of fold away on him when he made the 3-putt at 16.
And then he bogeyed 17, of course. And then you just saw the putt that he made, or missed, at 18.
You know, the thing that we didn't discuss is that how fast Fuzzy played at 18, then was to the right of the green and got up and made a good putt to save par to get in the playoff. As I said before, Tom Watson will play first. They have judged that to be first. Howard Harden said he's first, and now he's pointing the other way.
Clubs would be what?
I would think that Tom Watson would be away. I really do. From looking where I am, I would think Tom is away. Eddie Snead will play first, though.
How much of a problem does he have with the water?
He'll bring it in right to left. The problem is, do not be short. He's got a lot of green to work with.
Snead second.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, Pat, it's brilliant looking.
A little long and over the green and back into that bunker behind. And trouble for Ed Snead.
That just split the flag.
Right over the top of it.
That's the problem that he had. He was crossing the water and he couldn't afford to be short, and there's not really much green back there.
Not at all. It's like Watson's about ready.
Yes, Watson with a 6-iron. He has to bring it right to left. And he's going to leave it out, bringing it in, and should be to the right of the flag with a good-looking shot. Watch this one move in there.
Oh, wow. That looks like about 15 feet for Watson. Snead in the back bunker. Watson looking at a birdie.
Zeller with an 8-iron, who naturally brings it right to left.
Take much time.
And that's coming right to left. If that's the right club, that may be inside of Watson.
It is. Two spectacular shots from Watson and Zeller. Snead's in the bunker. You're looking at sudden death in the 1979 Masters. 3 players involved. He had Snead in the back bunker at 11. Zeller about 8 feet away. Watson about 15 feet away. And Ken Venturi, from your vantage point, what about the shot that Ed Snead has?
Well, we saw the shot that he played at 12 this afternoon, a brilliant bunker shot, and the shot did go in the bunker, Pat, but you can't say it was a bad shot. He didn't have very much green. He fired right at the flag, and he deserved credit for that, but there's not much room there, and the ball was not far from really being perfect.
You tell what kind of lie he's got?
He's clean. He's not buried. He's a little downhill. The ball will be a little bit above him, and it would be a brilliant shot to knock it close, but it would have to be thought of that he may leave a little short because of the water, but he only has one chance to go at it.
Shot. That almost went in. Even the other competitors applauded that shot by Ed Snead. Here it is again. And now Watson for birdie. There has never been a first-time starter to win this championship, except, of course, for the first one. But you're looking at the guy who has a chance, Fuzzy Zeller.
Pat, I think you're looking at a man, too, that you won't see leave it short. As we've spoke so many times about this man, he is bold.
Well, since the playoff began, he hasn't hit a bad shot by any means, and he won't take too much time either. There's your champion. Fuzzy Zeller, 1979 Masters champion. 70-71, 69-70. A finishing score, a playoff victor over Watson and Snead.
And so it is written in the history books of the Augusta National, the 1979 Masters sudden death, the agonizing last couple of holes of Ed Snead, the troubles of the dogged Tom Watson, and the irrepressible good humor and eventually good fortune of Fuzzy Zeller. We'll have an interview with Fuzzy just as soon as we can get him back in to the Butler house and have a chance to have Arnold Palmer visit with him after that thrilling victory at the 11th hole. And you can see Frank Urban, better known as Fuzzy Zeller, on his way back. He'll be 28 in November, and in case you wondered, that does not make him the youngest winner in playoff history. Jack Nicklaus was 26 when he won in a playoff in 1966. So Fuzzy Zeller is the winner, Tied for second, Tom Watson and Ed Snead. And you must think that a great portion of this 79 Masters is the story of Ed Snead. Snead, who looked like he had it won. He had won 3 times on the tour. And Fuzzy Zoeller, by the way, has never won on the tour until today. So his first tournament victory is the Masters. But again, in retrospect, it was the struggles of Ed Snead. A super par putt at 11 the first time at it today. Then later on he saved par at 12. Watson had to do the same thing with a great second shot. Snead got a very important birdie at 13, and he made a great par putt at 14. Meanwhile, Jack Nicklaus salvaged a par at 15, but he was starting to fade. Snead then knocked in a 6-footer, having pitched up from 80 yards, and that gave Snead 11 under, and it appeared as if he was going to win it right then and there. But the 16th hole jumped up and got Snead. Watson missed a birdie. Zoeller missed a birdie. And the 17th is when Snead came back to the field. And so as they got to the 18th, Snead needed a par to win it. And as Watson and Zoeller stood off and watched, Snead's second shot caught the very edge of the bunker on the right. He then hit onto the green, only to see his putt for par hang on the bottom half of the hole, just on the lip, and stay there. Almost like a statue, he stood in shock, went over and stared down at the hole, hoping that perhaps a fortuitous gust of wind would carry the ball into the cup and thereby make him the champion, but it was not to be. And so they took off on the 10th, played that even, and in the 11th hole, once again it was the frustration of Ed Snead. We'll show you that putt that Ed Snead and so many of us will remember for a long time to come as Tom Watson looked on. And it hung, and it hung, and it hung. So Watson, Snead, and Zoeller went, but not before Ed would hope for one last gust, but it wasn't to be. And then in the 11th, remember how he came out of that and just missed holding it from the bunker. And then Fuzzy Zoeller for the green cup. A downcast Ed Snead, a somewhat stoical and philosophical Tom Watson, and an excited and delighted Fuzzy Zoeller. And so the gallery comes from the 11th, walking back up through the 18th, this famous walk at Augusta, where the gallery has saluted so many golfing kings ever since 1934. And now on this 43rd, Fuzzy Zoeller motoring in from the 11th green, and in a moment or two we'll be able to have him on with Arnold Palmer. There had been 6 playoffs necessary in the 42 previous tournaments. One was at 36, the others were at 18. The sudden death playoff policy was adopted in 76, and then this year the sudden death policy was to begin at 10 instead of 1. So they started at 10, and Zoeller won it at 11. And I would say one thing for Ed Snead and for Tom Watson. In losing a playoff at Augusta, you are not even close to being disgraced. You are in some marvelous company. The most frequent loser in a playoff here is a man named Ben Hogan. Once again, our best wishes to Bill Lane and Bill Kerr. We're sorry you weren't here with us. We hope we were able to share the excitement with you. Now let's go down and meet the winner, Arnold Palmer, and go to Pat Summerall.
Ben, thank you very much. I'd like to introduce now the vice chairman of the Augusta National Golf Club, Mr. Hord Hardin. Hord?
Thank you, Pat. I'm a substitute here today because our chairman, Bill Lane, unfortunately was hospitalized earlier this week, but I'm happy to tell all of you that we're getting very good reports from his doctors. I suspect that Bill will be watching this telecast, and I just want to say to you, Willie, get back here in a hurry. We need you, boy. Now, as to the business at hand, this is a traditional part of the Masters Tournament, originated by Bob Jones some years ago. It gives us a chance to talk to our low amateur, and then this year our 2 runner-ups, if that's the right word, and our new champion. In order to put them at ease, we're going to ask one of their own fellows, a fellow who's been there before in the same position they've been, who talks their language, and who's one of golf's great people, a 4-time Masters champion himself, Mr. Arnold Palmer. And Arnie, if you'll take it on from here.
Thank you, Hord. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a great golf tournament, and of course we've had a great winner, a couple of great runners-up, and of course the amateur champion, Bobby Clampett. And Bobby, congratulations on your fine golf. You really played well this week.
Thank you, Arnold.
Tom and Ed, what can I say to you fellas? You played super golf. Ed, I sympathize with you. I know how you feel. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
It's a little difficult to say too much about it right now, Arnold. I really can't believe it. I didn't feel like the shot at 18 was a bad shot. The shot at 16 was right where I wanted to hit it with a 3-shot lead. And as you know, when you get above the hole, I guess I was trying to hit it into the bank and spin it down a little bit toward the hole and get a reasonable putt to save par, but I couldn't stop it running down the hill, and I missed that putt. The second shot at 17, I don't know what happened to it. I guess I misjudged it, or the green was hard. I thought I played a good enough pitch to get it up there somewhere around the hole. Felt a gust of wind blowing hard from the left, and when the ball was in the air, it looked like the wind blew it back a little bit to the left and it rolled across that hump. I hit a poor second shot at 18. It ended up half in and half out of the bunker, and the rest was there.
Well, do you feel like maybe 16 had something to do with the whole situation after you gained a 3-shot lead and you're...
Well, not so much at 16. That was a tough position. I could probably hit that putt a lot of times and not stop it any closer to the hole than I did, and I misread the second putt a little bit, and I missed the putt. At that point, I still didn't feel like I was giving the golf tournament away. I felt like that was the hole that if anything, bad happened, that could happen if I hit it in the water or something like that. But the shot at 17, I thought I played a pretty good shot, but it ran too far.
Well, I know you had to feel pretty good after 15, and Tom, you were hanging in there, but you saw what Ed was doing. Did you really think there was a chance? You and Fuzz were both right there fighting, and it looked like Ed had things pretty well under control. How did you feel?
Well, I was just trying to make a putt. I had a few putts that just wouldn't go in the hole all day, and I had an opportunity to win the golf tournament on the first playoff hole, and had a very bad putt, and I left it short on the second hole in the playoff, of course, and I just have to say that my condolences to Ed, because I've been there before. I know what it feels like to be in that position. All the condolences in the world I know wouldn't fix what the hurt is right now inside of Ed. But he'll have plenty of tournaments left. I know. He's a great player, and he showed it this week. And my congratulations to you, Frank Urban Zeller.
Well, and to Fuzzy. And I call you Fuzzy because that's sort of a name you and I and everyone else on the tour knows you as. And I'm sure your wife, Diane, is very happy at this point. She's very pregnant at this point, is she not?
Well, I just hope she hasn't had it. I mean, this kind of excitement's liable to just force it a week early.
Well, now, Fuzz, how did you feel? I know at times I was watching you most of the day, and I saw you were hanging in there, and you were playing awfully well. Tommy overshadowing just a little, if you don't mind, as you were playing, and you came to 18, and of course you had that little putt, and it was no little putt. It was a big putt. Were you aware at that point what might happen?
Well, Arnold, I'll be very honest with you. I didn't think we had a chance. Here I'm sitting at 7, and he was at 11, Ed was, and, all I could do was just try, and I gambled on 15 there when I was 235 into the wind. I didn't think I had a prayer to get over, and it paid off. I made a birdie there, and that kind of turned it around, and I birdied the 17th.
Well, I think that maybe they're going to show that putt at 11, and of course you fellas, the three of you, here we are watching that winning putt, and beautiful. How did you feel when you were stepping over that putt? How did you really feel about whether you were going to make it? You had a free shot.
Well, I hit a very good putt on the last the last three holes, on 17 and 18, and then the one on 10, I hit a good putt. So that putt there, I knew that if I missed it, I was going into another hole. So I was just trying to hit it straight in and just hope for the best.
Well, Fuzz, right now, I have the pleasure of asking Gary Player, the defending champion, to come in. And Gary, would you do something that is a great tradition and ritual here at the Masters Golf Tournament and
Fuzzy,
put the jacket on the new champion?
Thank you very much,
playing, Fuzzy. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll be very proud to wear this jacket. And you so strong and big, you need a size 50.
Oh, we'll get her to
I'm glad you guys don't get tied up like this on the golf course. You'd really be in trouble. Well, congratulations, Fuzz. That was tremendous. To you, Ed Sneed, what can you say? I know all of us who play golf know. Tom Watson, Bob Clanton, congratulations on your great play. And to Pat?
Arnold, we offer our congratulations, too.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
Great, Fuzz. Thank you.